Have you ever wished for a knight in shining armor? Well, mine came in a tailored suit and a very serious expression. And trust me, my life was never the same after that. Today I'm taking you on a journey through one of the most intense, dramatic, and life-changing experiences of my teenage years. This is the story of how I went from a regular high school student to someone living under constant protection, and how that completely transformed everything I thought I knew about myself. Today, I'm going to share the unbelievable, dramatic, and sometimes hilarious story of how my world turned completely upside down the moment I met my bodyguard. Get ready for secrets, unexpected twists, danger around every corner, and a whole lot of what-ifs. This isn't just a story about protection. It's a story about fear, courage, unexpected friendship, and discovering strength you never knew you had. So buckle up, because this ride is about to get intense. Before all the craziness, my life was, well, pretty ordinary for a high schooler. Wake up at 6:30 to an alarm I'd hit snooze on at least 3 times. Stumble to school half awake. Sit through classes ranging from mildly interesting to mind-numbingly boring. Homework. Hang out with friends at the local coffee shop. Scroll through TikTok until way too late at night. You know the drill. The most dramatic thing in my life was trying to survive calculus and figure out what to wear for prom. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. I wasn't connected to anything remotely dangerous or exciting. I was just me, Sarah Mitchell, 16 years old. Lived in a decent suburban neighborhood where the biggest crime was someone occasionally speeding through the residential zone. My biggest worry was whether Jake from English class would notice my new haircut. Looking back now, I'd give anything for that level of mundane simplicity. My dad, Robert Mitchell, was a brilliant but notoriously private inventor. He worked from a converted garage studio behind our house, always tinkering with something or other. Circuit boards, prototypes, computer screens filled with code I couldn't begin to understand. He'd been working on various projects for years, mostly small-scale stuff that paid the bills but didn't make waves. Mom worked as a high school teacher. I had a younger brother who was obsessed with video games. And we had a golden retriever named Max, picture-perfect suburban family, right? Then came the news that changed everything. My dad had a massive breakthrough. I'm talking world-changing technology, something to do with energy storage and quantum computing. Honestly, when he first tried to explain it to me, my eyes glazed over after about 30 seconds. But what I did understand was this. His invention could revolutionize how we power everything from phones to entire cities. It was worth billions, potentially. And almost overnight, things started to feel off. Really off. Strange cars began parking down our street, sleek black sedans with tinted windows that would sit there for hours. We started getting weird phone calls at odd times. Someone would call, let it ring twice, then hang up. It happened multiple times a day. My dad's email got hacked twice in 1 week. Someone tried to break into his studio, though the alarm scared them off before they could get inside. There was this constant, creeping sense of being watched. You know that feeling when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you just know someone is staring at you? I felt that every single day. Walking to school, at the grocery store, even in my own backyard. It was like invisible eyes were tracking my every move, waiting for something. My parents tried to act normal, but I could see the tension in their faces. The whispered conversations that stopped the moment I entered the room. The way my dad started checking the locks on every door and window multiple times before bed. The way my mom's hand would shake slightly when another unknown number called. They were scared and they were trying desperately to hide it from me and my brother. But I knew. Something was very, very wrong. My parents, bless their overly cautious hearts, decided enough was enough. They weren't going to wait for something terrible to happen. One sunny Tuesday afternoon, I came home from school like any other day. Backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds in, completely in my own world. I walked through the front door expecting the usual. Max wagging his tail. The smell of whatever my mom was cooking for dinner. Maybe my brother shouting at his video game from upstairs. Instead, I found a giant, stoic man standing in our living room. And when I say giant, I mean this guy was easily 6'3", with broad shoulders that seemed to fill the entire doorway. He was wearing a perfectly tailored black suit, a crisp white shirt, and a dark tie. His posture was military straight, hands clasped in front of him, his expression completely unreadable. He had short dark hair, a strong jawline, and these intense gray eyes that seemed to see everything all at once. He looked like he'd walked straight out of a spy movie or a Secret Service training manual. My parents were sitting on the couch, looking nervous but determined. My mom spoke first. "Sarah, honey, this is Liam Garrett. He's going to be staying with us for a while. He's here to keep us safe. To keep you safe." I just stood there, frozen, staring at this imposing stranger in our living room. What? What are you talking about? Safe from what? My dad cleared his throat. "There have been some threats, Sarah, people who want what I've created. Corporate espionage, potentially worse. We've been working with security consultants, and they've advised us that protection is necessary, especially for you and your brother." That's when Liam spoke for the first time. His voice was deep, calm, and authoritative. "Miss Mitchell, I know this is a lot to process. My job is to ensure your safety without disrupting your life more than necessary. I've been doing this for 12 years. You're in good hands." I was mortified, absolutely mortified. A bodyguard, for me, at 16 years old? This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of joke or a nightmare I'd wake up from any second. "You've got to be kidding me," I snapped. "I don't need a babysitter. I'm not some celebrity or politician's kid." "You're the daughter of someone who created something very valuable," Liam said calmly, his gaze unwavering. "That makes you a target. Whether you like it or not, that's the reality we're dealing with now." And just like that, my life as I knew it was over. At first, I absolutely hated it. Liam was everywhere. And I mean everywhere. He sat at our breakfast table every morning, silently eating while reading something on his tablet. He drove me to school in this nondescript black SUV that just screamed security detail to anyone paying attention. He waited in the parking lot all day watching. He was there when I came out of every single class. He even stood outside the bathroom. He was at the coffee shop when my friends and I hung out, sitting at a corner table with a perfect view of the exits, watching everyone who came and went. It felt like my freedom had been completely stripped away overnight. I couldn't go anywhere without him. Couldn't have a private moment. Couldn't just be a normal teenager doing normal teenager things. Every aspect of my life now had this hulking shadow attached to it. My friends thought it was weird. Some were fascinated, asking a million questions. Others started keeping their distance, like danger was contagious. And the worst part? The stares. Everyone stared. At school, at the mall, at the grocery store. People would whisper, point, speculate. Who was this guy? Why did Sarah Mitchell need a bodyguard? Was she famous? Was her family in witness protection? The rumors spread like wildfire. Some said my dad was secretly a government agent. Others claimed we were in the mob. One particularly creative rumor suggested I was actually a princess from some small European country hiding out in America. It was exhausting. But through it all, Liam remained completely unfazed. Nothing seemed to rattle him. Not the stares, not my attitude, not the constant questions. He was like a machine, always professional, always alert, always there. Then things escalated quickly. About 2 weeks after Liam came into our lives, I had my first real brush with danger. I was riding home from school with Liam driving as usual. We were at a red light about 3 blocks from my house, just sitting there in the afternoon traffic. It was a normal day, a normal commute. And then Liam's entire body tensed. His eyes darted to the rearview mirror, then to the side mirrors. His hand moved to something under his jacket so fast I almost missed it. "Sarah, I need you to get down, now." "What? Why would I? Down, now?" His voice had an edge I'd never heard before, and something in his tone made me obey instantly. I ducked down in my seat, my heart suddenly pounding in my chest. That's when I heard the engine. A loud, roaring engine getting closer, fast, way too fast. Through the window, I saw a black sedan accelerating toward us from the side street. It wasn't slowing down for the red light. It was aiming directly for the passenger side of our car, directly for where I was sitting. Liam reacted in a split second. The SUV lurched forward, running the red light, tires squealing. The sedan missed us by inches, so close I felt the rush of air as it passed. It clipped the car behind us instead, causing a multi-car pileup. Liam accelerated hard, weaving through traffic with a precision that suggested extensive tactical driving training. He was on his phone immediately, speaking in rapid-fire code to someone about our location, the threat, and vehicle descriptions. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a game. It was real. And my life was in danger. What will happen next? Don't forget to like and subscribe to find out in the next part. Thank you. Keep watching. We got home safely, but I was shaking uncontrollably. That wasn't an accident. Someone had actively tried to hit us. To hit me, the danger was real, and the incidents kept coming. A week later, a package arrived, addressed to me. Just a plain brown box, the kind you get from Amazon every day. But Liam wouldn't let anyone near it. He called in a bomb squad. It wasn't a bomb, but it contained a very clear threat. Photographs of me. At school, at the coffee shop, getting into the car. Someone had been following me, watching me, documenting my every move for weeks. The message was clear. We can get to you whenever we want. My parents wanted to pull me out of school, but Liam convinced them that isolating me would only make me more vulnerable. Instead, security ramped up. Cameras were installed all around our house. Our phones got special encryption. My brother got his own security detail. Our lives transformed into something out of a spy thriller, except this was my actual life, and the fear was paralyzing. It was clear this wasn't just my parents being overprotective. This was life or death serious. People wanted my dad's technology badly enough to threaten his family. Liam, with his quiet intensity, started to explain things to me. He'd walk me through the reality of our situation. Corporate rivals who'd lose billions. Foreign governments interested in military applications. Criminal organizations who saw dollar signs. The list was disturbingly long, but he didn't just explain the threats. He started teaching me. We'd spend an hour every evening in our garage, which Liam had converted into a training space. Basic self-defense moves. How to throw a proper punch without breaking my thumb. Where to strike if someone grabs you. He taught me situational awareness. Always know your exits, watch people's hands, trust your instincts. He showed me how to use everyday objects as weapons, a pen, a book, my keys. It was terrifying learning all of this. Each lesson was a reminder that the danger was real, but it was also empowering. I wasn't just a helpless victim waiting for something bad to happen. I was learning to protect myself. The scared girl who'd hidden in the car was slowly transforming into someone who could actually fight back. Here's the thing about living with someone 24/7. Even if that someone is your bodyguard, you eventually get to know them. And beneath Liam's tough professional exterior, I discovered someone incredible. It started small. One morning I found him reading The Count of Monte Cristo, a book I was struggling with for English class. I made some comment about how dense it was, and to my shock, Liam looked up and said, "It's one of the greatest revenge stories ever written." The key is understanding that Dantes isn't just seeking vengeance. He's reclaiming his stolen life. We ended up having a 30-minute conversation about the book. Liam had this incredible depth of knowledge about literature, history, and philosophy. He'd quote Shakespeare and Sun Tzu in the same breath. This wasn't just a tough guy with a gun. This was someone genuinely intelligent. His sense of humor was another revelation. It was dry, subtle, easy to miss. He'd make these deadpan observations in traffic that had me cracking up. Or he'd catch me rolling my eyes at my mom and give me this tiny knowing smile that said, "I get it." Music was our real breakthrough, though. One day, I was listening to an indie band I loved, the Paper Kites. Liam walked by and stopped. "Is that Bloom?" I pulled out an earbud, surprised. "You know the Paper Kites?" He gave me a rare, genuine smile. "Know them?" "They're one of my favorite bands." That moment right there changed everything. We started sharing music, creating playlists. It was our language, a silent conversation in the midst of all the chaos. And through those shared songs, that stoic bodyguard started to feel less like a guard and more like a friend. The only friend who truly understood the strange, scary world I was now living in. I saw them live in Melbourne 6 years ago. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. That's how we discovered we had incredibly similar taste in music. Indie folk, alternative rock, even some electronic stuff. We started sharing playlists. He introduced me to bands I'd never heard of, and I showed him newer artists he'd missed. Music became this unexpected common ground where the bodyguard and the teenage client just became two people who appreciated the same art. We started talking about real things. Not just safety protocols and threat assessments, but life. During our evening training sessions, between learning how to disarm someone and practicing escape techniques, we'd talk. He told me about his past, about growing up in Boston, his time in the military, and the missions that still gave him nightmares. He explained why he chose this profession, how protecting people gave him purpose after leaving the service. He talked about the weight of responsibility, what it means to have someone's life literally in your hands, about the split-second decisions that can mean the difference between life and death, and about the guilt when you can't save everyone. His words were heavy with experience, with losses he'd endured. And suddenly, this intimidating bodyguard became human. Complicated, damaged, trying to find meaning in a violent world. I found myself confiding in him too, about things I hadn't even told my best friends. How scared I actually was, how I'd wake up in the middle of the night convinced someone was in the house. The pressure from my parents' expectations, from school, from just trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. About feeling like my life had been stolen. Liam listened. Really listened. He didn't try to fix everything or tell me it would all be okay. He acknowledged the fear, validated it, but then pushed me to move through it. He once told me, "Fear is natural. It's your brain trying to keep you alive. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite the fear. Every day you get up, go to school, refuse to let these threats define you. That's courage." Our friendship was strange and completely unconventional. He was 28, I was 16. He was technically my employee, but we connected on a level that transcended those boundaries. He became my mentor, my protector, and my friend. He saw me not as a job, but as a person worth knowing. And I saw him the same way. My parents noticed the change. I started smiling again. I seemed less tense, more confident. Even my friends commented that I seemed different, stronger somehow. When someone's teaching you how to survive, high school gossip suddenly seems pretty insignificant. There were lighter moments too. Genuine fun amidst all the intensity. Liam taught me to play chess, and we'd have these marathon games that would last for days. He introduced me to old action movies from the 80s and 90s. We'd spend Saturday nights watching them, him pointing out all the unrealistic fight choreography while I threw popcorn at him. Once, my mom made him try on a ridiculous holiday sweater she'd knit, and I caught a picture of his deeply uncomfortable expression that I treasured. Life, despite everything, found moments of normalcy, of joy, and at the center of that was this unlikely friendship. Then came the day that changed everything forever. It was a Thursday 3 months after Liam had first walked into our living room. I remember every detail of that morning with crystal clarity, the kind trauma burns into your brain. It started normally. Breakfast, the drive to school, Liam doing his usual security sweep, first period, second period, lunch with my friends. Everything was routine, normal. But Liam had been tense all day. I'd learned to read his moods, the way his jaw clenched slightly when he was concerned, how his eyes would scan more aggressively. He'd been like that all morning, and it was making me nervous. After lunch, I was walking to my locker when Liam appeared at my elbow, moving faster than usual. "We're leaving, now," I protested. "What?" "I have English class in 5 minutes." "Now, Sarah," he said. His hand was on my elbow, guiding me toward the exit. His other hand was under his jacket, on his gun. My heart started racing. We never made it to the door. The moment the 3 men walked through the main entrance, a chill ran down my spine. Their confidence was all wrong. They weren't students. They weren't staff. One look at my bodyguard, Liam's posture, told me everything. These were the people we'd been trying to avoid for months. Everything happened in a blur. Liam stepped in front of me, his voice steady, firm, focused. "Sarah, if I tell you to go, you head straight for that side door. Find a staff member, get help. Don't stop." Before I could even nod, one of the men lunged. Students screamed, and the school alarm blared, adding to the chaos. But through it all, Liam was an island of calm. What he did next felt like a dance. With quick, controlled movements, he blocked the first man, redirecting his momentum. The second one rushed in, but Liam shifted, guiding him away, always keeping himself between them and me. But there were 3. The third wasn't focused on Liam, he was coming straight for me. "Run! Now!" Liam shouted, and I ran. Every training drill, every hypothetical scenario, it all kicked in. I shoved through the side door, just like he'd said. I didn't think. I just moved. But then I heard a sound, a sickening thud that made my entire body freeze. I risked a glance back. Liam was on one knee, clutching his side. He was hurt. But he was still fighting, still holding the last man back, refusing to let him follow me. Teachers rushed into the hallway. Someone grabbed me, pulling me to safety as sirens wailed in the distance. The intruders saw it was over and fled. They never got to me because Liam wouldn't let them. The next few hours were a whirlwind of flashing lights, my parents' terrified faces, and endless questions. All I could think about was Liam. He'd been taken to the hospital, and for what felt like an eternity, no one knew if he was okay. When the news finally came that his injury wasn't life-threatening, I just broke down. The relief was so overwhelming. The men were caught. They were connected to my dad's work, a threat that had been looming over us for so long. And just like that, it was over. We were finally safe. I spent every day of the next week at the hospital, sitting by Liam's side. When he was finally able to talk, I asked him the one question that haunted me. Why? Why would you risk so much for me? It's just your job. He looked at me with those steady gray eyes and said, You're more than a job, Sarah. People like you are worth protecting. Life slowly returned to normal. The danger was gone. Liam stayed a few more months to help us adjust, but we both knew he'd have to leave eventually. The day he left was one of the hardest. We stood in the driveway, my family thanking him one last time. I was struggling to hold back tears. You're going to be okay, he told me gently. You are always stronger than you think. He pulled me into a quick, firm hug. Stay sharp, Mitchell. Keep training. And then he was gone. He was my protector, my friend, and the person who showed me my own strength. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had someone in your life who made you feel safe, you know how priceless that is? And remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. That's what I told him. He just smiled, that rare, genuine smile I'd learned to cherish. I know, he said. You've only told me 1,000 times. Then he got in his car and drove away. I watched until his taillights disappeared around the corner. Meeting my bodyguard didn't just turn my life upside down. It completely reshaped who I am. I learned about courage, about trust, about how quickly your world can change and how you have to adapt or get swallowed by the fear. I learned that strength isn't always physical. Sometimes it's just showing up every single day, even when you're terrified. Sometimes it's letting someone help you when every instinct is screaming to push them away. Liam taught me that danger exists, but so does protection. That there are people in this world willing to put themselves on the line for others, not for glory or recognition, but because it's what they believe is right. He showed me that I'm capable of so much more than I ever imagined. That I can face fear and come out the other side changed, but not broken. It's been 2 years since Liam left. I'm 18 now, about to graduate high school and head off to college. I still train. I still practice the skills he taught me. Not because I think I'll need them, but because they connect me to that time, to those lessons, to him. I'm not the same scared 16-year-old who came home to find a stranger in her living room. I'm someone stronger. Someone who knows what she's capable of. Someone who learned that sometimes the person who changes your life isn't who you'd ever expect. My dad's invention did change the world. His technology is now powering renewable energy grids in 12 countries. He won awards. Our family is financially secure. But the real story, my story, is about those months with Liam. It's about learning to be brave, about an unlikely friendship that formed under impossible circumstances, about a bodyguard who became so much more than just protection. I still think about him sometimes. I wonder where he is, who he's protecting now. If he ever thinks about our time together the way I do. I've searched for him online, but he doesn't have social media, doesn't leave any digital footprints. People like him rarely do. Maybe that's how it should be. Liam was that person for me. My knight in a tailored suit, with a serious expression and a heart that understood the weight of protecting another human being. And I'll carry the lessons he taught me for the rest of my life. Stay aware. Trust your instincts. Be brave even when you're terrified. And remember that sometimes the most important relationships are the ones that don't last forever, but change you completely while they re there. That's my story. The story of the bodyguard who saved my life and then taught me how to save myself. And honestly, I wouldn't change any of it. Not even the scary parts, because it made me who I am today. And I kind of like who I've become. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you've ever had someone come into your life and change it for the better, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.